Hey folks, I'm Rupali, your host, and welcome back to Crime Hack. Last time, we heard that while investigating Akash's beat up, Raj and Sandy were beaten up themselves. While Raj takes a sick leave, Sandy continues the work alone and keeps looking for clues. Priya, the main suspect, joins hands with him when the news about the attacks gets out and she's isolated socially. She finds a ring at Akash's ambush site and recognizes it as one belonging to a guy who lives in her locality. When Sandy gets to know about him, he makes plans to meet Priya the next day and she would take him to her locality and point out the guy to him. However, Priya vanishes the same night, but Sandy is able to find the guy. When he tails him, he is led to a dilapidated old mansion and is ambushed again. And now, Nayak Brothers and the Mystery of the Catacombish Tunnels by Rupali Rajapadhe Roti, Part 21. Sandy decided to stick to the shrubbery lest someone was watching through the windows of the old mansion. But the moment he took a step back, something hit his head hard from behind and he collapsed into darkness. Time passed and he slowly came to. He heard himself groaning, seemingly for no reason at first, and then a sharp pain shot through his head, jolting him rudely out of his slumber. He groaned with feelings this time, but the sound came out muffled. A gag? He was surprised. He slowly opened his eyes and realized that he was tied hands and feet as well. Where am I? A sense of panic settled in and he struggled frantically against the ropes without luck. Oh man, I'm in trouble. He struggled again. Luckily, he wasn't blindfolded. It was still bright outside and he wondered how long he had been unconscious. Summoning his memory, he looked around. It was a dirty, paint-scraped large room that had frameless windows and a door frame. By the looks of it, he sure was in the haunted mansion and was alone in the room. He strained his ears to hear a sign of life but couldn't pick up anything. Then it struck him like a jolt of lightning. Nobody knows where I am. He thought hard but couldn't think of anyone who did. Then came a second shocker. Have I been left here to starve to death or be executed soon? He fought a sudden surge of panic and took a deep, deliberate breath. Once the reality sunk in, he accepted the situation as it was and decided to deal with it on his own. Nobody was coming to help. He had to get himself out of this fix. He tried to wriggle free from his bonds, but his hands were tied tightly behind his back. The rope had already started cutting into his flesh. He then looked around in the hope that he would find something sharp to cut through the ropes, but the room was cleared of any and every sharp object. There was only one thing left to do now. He stretched his hands and tried to bring them from below him to the front. But no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't do that. So, he brought his hands up from behind him and with painful shoulders and scathing wrists, finally brought them in front. With his fingers, he pulled the gag out of his mouth and then with his teeth, he tugged at his bonds. Suddenly, he heard footsteps in the mansion and at the same moment, the bonds came loose. With lightning quickness, he put the gag back in his mouth, tucked the rope in his pocket, held his hands behind his back and waited anxiously. A face thrust forward from the doorless frame, then expanded into a whole body. Deepak? Thank God. Deepak had looked frightened when he rushed forth to help Sandy. But when he saw Sandy bring forth his free hands, pull the gag out of his mouth, free his feet and stand up, he could utter no words. Sandy stood up, rubbing his wrists and smiling weakly at him. All this while, Deepak stood watching with his mouth open. Finally, he muttered, "And I thought you were in trouble." "I was. But how did you know I was here?" "I thought I was a goner," Sandy admitted. I followed you. After you left, I realized that I needn't come to Priya's house, but could at least back you up in case the need be. So I took a rickshaw, only to find you hiding behind a tree, following a guy. That's when I noticed someone else following you too. So instead of coming to you, I kept an eye on the second guy who was behind you. My heart almost jumped to my mouth when I saw him conk you on the head. I was really worried. Wanted to call the police, but I don't carry a mobile on me. So I decided to follow those guys and come for help as soon as I get a chance. Soon enough, they dumped you in this weird house. He looked around nervously and continued. Then they went off someplace. I waited to confirm that they were not coming back in a hurry and then sneaked in to find you. Thanks, yaar. It's good to see a friendly face right now, Sandy confessed. But the danger wasn't over yet. This could be the gang's hideout, and Sandy wanted to search it as soon as possible without getting caught again. Feeling the wound at the back of his head, he noticed the time. Oh, I must have revived pretty quickly. With a lot of breaks for rest, his head still swimming, he started searching the whole house for clues. All along, he drilled Deepak with all sorts of questions. Did you hear them talk? Are you serious? Deepak shot back. Who was going to get near enough? Not me. Did you notice what the other person who attacked me looked like? I didn't look properly, but all I can say is that he was shorter than the other fellow, was dark, with curly jet black hair, a bit hefty as well, but not much. And yes, he seemed to have a mustache. What do you mean, seemed to have? The description that Deepak gave was very vague. There could have been 1,000 people fitting that description in this city alone. Deepak defended himself with a protest. They were far away, I couldn't see. Moreover, I wasn't focusing on what they looked like. I was worried about you. Sandy was disappointed, but there was no use pushing Deepak further. Okay, no worries. And thanks for coming back for me. He patted Deepak's shoulder. I really mean it. After all, in spite of being the nervous kind, he had come to help and he needed to be given credit for that. The search had proved futile so far. So this isn't their hideout after all, Sandy thought in dejection. Okay, which way did they go? He asked Deepak, and Deepak pointed a finger. Luckily, they had gone the way opposite from where they had come to this haunted mansion to, so Sandy could fetch his bike without being noticed. He wanted to call his friends to find out where they were so he could join the party, but his pockets were emptied and he had lost his mobile. So along with Deepak, he reached the college and attended the remaining lectures. After the lectures were over, Poonam approached Sandy. Hey, you missed lectures today as well. It was an open-ended question of a sort. Yes, Sandy didn't explain further. There were a lot of things going on in his mind. She noticed his hands with marks around his wrists and asked, What's that? He blushed self-consciously. Hiding his hands beneath the bench, he muttered, I'm going to die explaining that to my mom tonight. Want some help? She offered. With what? Explaining it away? Nope, hiding it. She gave a mischievous smile and he brightened. You can do that? You'll see. The class had become empty now that all the students were heading home. So Poonam brought out her makeup kit and Sandy looked on unbelievably. First, she applied a layer of an antiseptic cream, followed by some makeup, and soon enough, the marks were almost invisible. He looked at his hands and whistled under his breath. Wow, you are a magician. She smiled contentedly at her work and instructed, Don't wash it or rub on it, okay? Saying so, she handed him the kit in case he needed it the next morning. No way! He started to revolt. How could he, a boy, keep a makeup kit with him. Then he corrected his tone. I mean, I can't possibly keep it. Won't you need it for yourself? She stifled a smile, knowing him too well, and then replied, I don't have any marks to hide, you see. Who knows? After all, you are a magician. He shot out of the room with Poonam at his heels, shouting, I don't have any marks on my face to hide. Come here, you monkey. It was real fun teasing Poonam and then running away while she chased him down the aisles with a raised fist. How Sandy loved doing that. After the commotion and excitement were over, Sandy tucked the makeup kit in his backpack and headed home. With a pounding heart, he passed from in front of his mother and made a beeline to his room. Luckily, she didn't notice his hands. Raj was at the study table, textbooks strewn all over the place around him. Sandy was disturbed and didn't want to talk just now, so he only asked Raj how his leg was. Then, losing his backpack on his bed, he quickly changed into fresh clothes and declared, I'm going to the den, and was out even before Raj could ask anything. So friends, if you like the story so far, please subscribe, click the bell icon, support the channel, and don't forget to share. You can also challenge us to watch and review your favorite movie, book, or TV show and support us on Patreon so we could shout out your name in the review too. To submit your challenge, go to our Patreon page, the link of which is given below. I publish a new episode every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with bonus content on other days, so keep a lookout. Until next time, keep safe. Namaste.